Thank you, Bree. Thank you, everyone. I think today was a pretty busy day with the sustainability group as well. So I'm guessing there probably have lesser attendance today for this one. So, but let's get started. We basically the plan today is to go over the survey results. You probably, I don't know if everybody filled it out or not on attending this today, but we definitely will do that. The survey contained two pieces. It's the definition for the waste and the definition for the source reduction. We had just provided sort of a sample, what we thought was probably a good definition, and then we requested feedback from all of you and with your own thoughts on it. So we got that, and then so we'll go over that one, and then we'll go over maybe come up with a vote or pick the best definition that I think fits. And the other piece of the survey was also about creating subgroups to maybe people to go off and work on their own and then come back and sort of share their findings and go from there. There's also timeline put forth that was suggested by Bree and NDEP in general for us to get to the menu of options by end of March. So we will share that, and then lastly, pretty much what is expected from each of the subgroups, and to meet those timelines, and then just a regular discussion, anything else. So that's the kind of the goal of today's meeting. But if you guys have anything you want to talk about before we get started, please oops, sorry, I have a little background noise. Please do, let's take a few moments to kind of talk about it. Sorry. Okay. I guess nobody has anything to bring up. Can I ask who is on 3799? So just know.
It's Patty. I have trouble with my computer audio, so I'm on both.
Oh, got it. Okay, no problem. Anyway, Liz, do you want to just take it up and then maybe go over what we got from the survey? And do you have it up? And shall we just?
I do.
Okay.
I did throw together a PowerPoint if you want me to show it.
Oh, that's even better.
I did it, 10 minutes before this call, so it's nothing special. But how do I share my screen? Oh, do I just click this little button down here, maybe?
Yeah, it should say share your screen. It looks like a laptop with an arrow.
Yep. And then, okay. So can you see it?
Yes, I can see it.
All right, and my screen, it's like flickering.
Yeah, it looks like it's doing that too on our end.
Okay, hang on, let me just retry that. Maybe I have to, I'm using two screens, so let me just try it one more time, and then if it doesn't work, I'll just use one screen. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Let me get this bigger. Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay, so the first questions we asked for in the survey were the waste definition and the source reduction definition. So the first column is what Lakshmi and I had put up as suggestions. And we really didn't get a lot of comments, but we did get one of a broader waste definition. So any matter, whether solid, liquid, or gaseous, which is discharged, emitted, or deposited in the environment in such volume, consistency, or manner as to cause an alteration in the environment, or any substance prescribed the regulations to be waste. So we had a little bit of discussion around this, Lakshmi and Bree and I, and we just want to make sure that we don't go too broad, but that we do capture a good definition. And I guess I just want to remind everybody that this is going to be sort of a working definition, that it may change over time, especially as we have our groups discover new things or people speak up and let present on their expertise or what have you. So Lakshmi and Bree, do you have anything else to add to this?
Yeah, so I think that broader definition that was proposed falls more in line with pollution, which is maybe something we can capture as a separate definition, waste being a subset of pollution. Just, yeah, making sure we're broad enough, but not too broad. That's something to consider too with the group.
Okay, good. And I just want to remind everybody, this is really just guiding so that when we are out there doing research, we're not going so huge, so vast that we are not focused enough, because as we saw in the sustainability group today, there's a lot of other work being done. And I want to make sure that our group focuses on what we need to focus on. So just a reminder that we're not, defining waste and putting it into, a dictionary. We're using it for our purposes, really. Does anybody else have anything to add? No? Okay. Let me go to the source reduction definitions. So again, on the left are the ones that we had put up. On the right were some comments that we got. And I agree. The first comment, particularly the second question, what is the role of the public? We had a little discussion about that too. And really, definitely, there is a role for public, and we did kind of focus on material design and those types of related issues. But Lakshmi and I and Bree feel that we're going to go into our groups and really dig into this a little bit more and figure out what those reduction types of strategies are and what's working and what's not, and what's right for Nevada and what's not, and what the role of the public is. So I think all of that will come out in those groups. So anything to add to that?
I'm just wondering if of the group that's on the call right now, so, I mean, how shall we go about it? I'd like to understand, should the definitions that we put forth with maybe a little bit of addition that's on one of the comments, and then, do you have any suggestions on, for, with the definition itself? Like, of course, Liz suggested this is a working document, so it need not be like set in stone or anything like that. But we're really looking for some feedback on, because we could then put this up on, I guess, Bree, there's a end up document sharing thing somewhere. So, yeah, I'd like to hear your thoughts on, how to incorporate these comments, and then, let's go ahead, maybe make modifications as needed here. So.
So Bree, what is the sharing platform?
So I'm setting up a Google account. That email, that general email address we talked about in the August meeting. I'm going to use that to set up a Gmail account or a Google account, and I'll be able to do Google Sheets, Google Docs, and yeah, I'll put together a Google Doc and put this in what we finalized today, or finalized. It's a working document, and that way everybody can have access to it as we change it. They'll see the changes, happen. So yeah.
Okay, great. That's great. So yeah, we'll put these definitions up into that document, and as Bree said, we can add to it as we see fit, especially once we dig into the subject matter. I do just want to share the other part of the, that's the survey, of what else came out of this, and that was to find out what type of group, which groups you'd want to be in. And we didn't get a whole heck of a lot of responses, but we did get a few. So this is just, and I'll put this we can maybe put this document up there too, because it has everybody's emails. It's larger than this. It just has our current information. So that first column is our names. The second one is what other members or what other groups are you a part of, which I thought was important to know, because a lot of us are in a lot of groups. And so it's good to know who's where, like who's in policy, so we can call on those people, like what policy, would this be a policy, or draw on that kind of expertise. But there's a few people put in there what type of groups they want to work on. And Lakshmi, I don't know if you have some ideas on how we're going to actually do this. It's great to know what people want to do. We can fill in these other ones as we get their answers, but moving forward, what do we want to discuss how our plan is moving forward?
Yeah, I guess we have to send the survey back out and get more input from people, right? Right now, we only have just a handful of people, so.
Right.
Well, for the people that are here, maybe we can start assigning them.
Yeah, definitely.
So Nima, we put you as textiles because we figured you would want
Absolutely.
To.
I'm completely game.
Okay.
And you know what?
I'm
also willing to help with packaging and single-use plastics as well. So
okay.
Yeah, I mean, because it's all the same. It's a petroleum byproduct. So
okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I think I just labeled it plastics for this. So
yeah.
Lakshmi and Liz, do you want me to go over the timeline and show that document so people have an idea of when? Or
yeah,
if you have
actually,
it up?
I have it in my
okay
here, but I did it all fancy.
Oh, cool. Nice. I like visual.
Nice.
So yeah, you'll see my little sidebars. But yeah, so go ahead, Bree. You can go over it.
Okay, so with the last survey, we asked where you guys were interested in doing research on specific problem waste streams. And the reason for that is by November 15th, we really want to have those problems, opportunities, knowledge gaps identified, and with some data to back it, like the story, not the story, but just the context of the waste stream, sources, how big, the extent of the problem in Nevada. And Lakshmi, Liz, and I, we can send you guys some questions to think about as you're doing the research. And so the goal is to have that by the 15th. We can move the dates around a little bit, so it's not hard set the 15th, but we want to stay somewhat on schedule because we want to maintain the cadence with the other groups. The 15th, we're going to, you guys as a group are going to select which specific problems and opportunities you want to focus on. So you guys may come up with a ton of ideas and then realize, okay, we can only select 5 to focus on. So by the 15th, that's where you start cutting down and focusing on what we're going to do the next few months. And we're going to change those problem statements or those problems or challenges, opportunities into something called an objective statement. So for example, if you think of organics and let's say, we want to divert, or I guess for us, we want to minimize the amount of food waste going to a landfill. That's the problem. So one thing could be, gosh, now I'm blanking here, just minimizing food that gets wasted. That's kind of like a general objective statement. And then between December 15th and January 14th, we're going to be brainstorming solutions, like general solutions to those problems. So if it is, diverting, keeping food from becoming waste, one could be, donations, or human donations. And then, so we'll go through and come up with those broad strategic solutions. Then by March, we're going to have the tactics. So if we decided to, promote food donations, what needs to happen at, the legislative level, the business level, municipality, you name it, like or the public. So what needs to happen to achieve that strategic solution? And then by the end of March, we'll finalize that all. So the first part of this is, really figuring out what the problems are or the opportunities, getting the data behind it so we can eventually formulate solutions to that. And I think, Aster, did you raise your hand while I was in the middle of that?
Yes. Just a question. You lay out the strategic strategies in the question, in the survey question. I didn't understand.
So
I didn't. Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
I didn't understand the linkage, the relationship between the second question. Is it you just throw it an example, because that is really product, design and process and something like that. It's very focused. I like it. I like to involve in that. But what is the implication or the relationship between that and then the second question? The second question you are talking about now, is it?
Yes. Okay, I see what you're saying. The question from the survey. So yeah, where we asked what you wanted, what a particular problem waste would you be interested in researching? And that would be to help with this November 15th deadline, figuring out what the problems are, opportunities regarding that waste stream. So it's just really understanding what that waste stream is in Nevada. And then from there, we'll be able to figure out specific solutions and what we want to do with that waste stream.
So the product design strategies, we just put it aside for now.
Right, that would come later with the solutions.
Okay. Yeah. The immediate thing, I guess there's another document you had, Bree, you want to share that one with the, that kind of laid out how you wanted to see them, right? So, yeah.
Okay. Okay, can you guys see the document?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, looks good.
I'm going to show an example. It was hard to talk about it off the top of my head. So this is pulled from Connecticut. Again, we don't have to follow their ideas. It's just the structure we thought was really helpful for framing the next few months. So this was for their organics group. And one of the problems they identified was, okay, our waste to energy facilities are going to be closing and we don't have a lot of landfill space. So one of the problem areas is food scraps, because that's usually typically a large percentage of waste in general. So dealing with food scraps, that's the problem. And they changed it into an objective statement: promote collection and diversion of food scraps. So that's how they were able to change the problem into essentially a goal. And then under that, the general strategies to help support that goal: one was support food donation for human consumption. Another one was promote co-collection of food scraps with the municipal solid waste. So those are the general strategies, the general solutions for that objective. And then they went a step deeper and did the tactical, somewhat tactical level. So they, hey, legislative can do this in our state. They had some laws that were barriers to this food donation. So legislatively, we have to do this. The state agency can do X, Y, and Z. The municipality can promote local donations to increase donation frequency. And there's way more, and they're very detailed. So that's kind of the path forward we're trying to get all the working groups to do. That way everyone's kind of on the same page. And the reason for the due dates too is all the groups should be coming up with their problem statements and solutions at the same time. And if there's overlap between the groups, we can figure out then, okay, which group is going to take this specific solution.
Yeah. So if we were, I guess, since looks like from our survey results, there's basically 4 groups that, from the interest, from different teams. It looks like we have food waste, textiles, plastics and packaging, and then there is the hazardous waste. So, yes, source problem is really huge, but if we can focus on these 4, that itself is good. So if we were to apply that November 15th, what we need to produce from, from different teams, let's say, I don't know, I can help, of course. Nima, you probably already have lots and lots of data already.
I do. And plastic too. So, that's something that's keep in mind is, to me, it's, it's that holistic approach. It's plastic. So I have a lot of data on textiles and just literally petroleum byproducts that are produced, products that are made from petroleum byproducts, which is single-use plastics and packaging. So, whatever, let me know, and I have the data.
Right. So I'm going to be in that subgroup. I haven't written my name next to the subgroups yet, so I'll be doing that. But then, so let's say, for example, so you and I are on the same group. We'll probably go back and look at all the data that you have collected and whatever I have collected, and then we will say, okay, these are the problem areas we know as it applies to Nevada specifically, and then just basically quantify it and then prioritize the various areas and then come back.
Okay.
That's how I see it, right, Bree?
That sounds good to me. And I actually have information. I'm sorry, Bree, to cut in. I actually have groups already. I've thought of this, from the trade shows to the hotel casinos to the sports. So I have all kinds of stuff. I'll shut up now.
No. I was just kind of giving an example of what's kind of expected by November 15th. So that's, yeah.
To add to that, Lakshmi and Liz, I think if we put together some questions for people to focus their research on, to find answers. I think that will help everyone too. So that's a suggestion as well.
Yeah, but like people like us, certainly might not, they already know so much on these. You might already have a set of criteria, questions that you use already. So feel free to share, so we can pass it on to the rest of the groups as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I have content for different audiences as well. That's what I've really had to do. I know most of you understand that there's sometimes a learning curve, and you have to really sometimes step it back to really, really simple 1, 2, 3, all the way to. So I have the content based upon the audience. So it's a diverse amount of information for this very reason.
Yeah. Esther, you have, please.
Thank you. Just one comment, a suggestion. When we do any analysis, we should not forget that to link everything discuss everything in the context of sustainability concept. That tied up everything, what somebody did, I did, or the other person did, so that the direction is molded in that intersection, the economy, the community, and then in the environment. So that should be our focus. That's why we are here. And that helps us also to frame our question, to develop strategies, and to write our recommendation. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you. Anything else? Sorry, we don't need to be taking up all the time here.
I actually have a question, and that is, there is an organization that I work with. It's called the Bonneville Environmental Fund, BEF, and they do a lot of carbon offsetting. But the point is why I'm bringing them up is because they have some really great data in terms of pound for pound carbon, and basically how a lot of companies are looking at that, and how they're tying this with the ultimate goal of tying it to tax policy, right? And so I would like to bring them in on this if it's appropriate and you guys are okay with it. I have a great contact there, Nancy B. Sales. I've been working with her for years. And whatever we decide to do, the point is that to have this group come in and they're nonprofit, help us actually tie a value to actually what we're diverting or recycling or upcycling, whatever it is, but actually have a tangible value tied to it. Thoughts on that?
I think that's a great idea.
Okay. I think that'll help from the policy point too, because there's Esther, we're part of, are you part of the policy group as well? I'm not sure, but I know that there's quite a few of us that are crossing over. And I think with what you said, Esther, is that we kind of keep this in mind, that this kind of thing in terms of, really quantifying exactly what we're doing in terms of sustainability. And with this data, it can actually go to the academic, it can go to open source, and it can actually help us with the policy group as well. So that's what I'm thinking in terms of, this is an organization that actually can help us work really smarter, not harder, in terms of, hard numbers, facts, data, and I think that this is something that they would jump on board about big time. So, and like I said, they do water restoration, they do forest restoration, they're doing stuff with Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola and Nestle are some of the largest water consumers, as well as plastic producers. Greenpeace did a project years ago about this, and it was about, there was a group of us, we collected plastic waste on the side of the road in the communities, wherever it was. And they developed a way for us to identify the plastic. They then sent a letter after they basically gathered all the data. They sent a letter to Nestle and Coca-Cola with these facts about just strictly packaging, plastic. So that's what I'm talking about. Is I think that this group could really help us with all the other groups too that we're many of us are a part of. But the collective idea with sustainability, right? And that's where I'm thinking. So I'll be quiet.
Well, let's think about that
Okay.
logistically. We have 2 meetings between now and November 15th, right? So, let me just bring up my calendar, sorry. So we do have 1 more hour, because we decided to do, fortnightly meetings. So I think we can take a little bit of time to have them give a short talk. What does everybody say? I don't want to, I want to get everybody's.
If you guys want, I could give you guys some information in a really brief paragraph of what they do, and then you guys can decide if it's worthy or not. So then that way you guys aren't, I can just present that really easy, and then we can decide if that's something that's you guys want to do.
Since we have now identified 4 different subgroups, Nima, could we just maybe focus on those 4 areas perhaps and see if there's whatever data that we can.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm going to put their acronym. It's Bonneville Environmental Fund in the chat section here. And so you guys can check them out. Let's see here.
Okay.
Yeah, hold on a second here.
Meanwhile, any particular ideas on, I don't want to put people on the spot, but Wes or Todd and Patty, do you guys have other ideas that you want to be covering here? Are you guys okay with what the current plan is? Can you, yeah.
Todd here. Yeah, I think the plan is going forward, like you said, focusing on the results of the survey, starting off small, and we can always expand it later as the other groups getting more involved with it. Yeah, we got to start with something, and going, larger and a very expansive program is just, it's a lot of work for just a few people. So I like the idea of focusing on what the survey results are from.
Yeah.
This is Wes. I agree with Todd. I think that we should be focusing on some smaller items and making it more realistic. If we go too big, I look at it from the same point that NDEP probably does. It becomes too big of a bite, and you can't really break the pieces down to something useful or tangible, or even something that becomes easily incorporatable into a regulation or a further working group in a realistic amount of time. So I think that's why I chose the ones that I did, because they seem to be the hottest topics and are also the hardest to deal with on a regulatory basis. So I think those ones bring forward some of the smaller group will be able to provide and hone some of those things out and hopefully bring some balance to those ideas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. And I just want to say that I think the ones that were chosen are the biggest ones. Like, weren't those the biggest ones that came out of at least the Washoe County survey as the biggest amount?
The food waste.
So the hazardous waste, which is, what I think is the most toxic one. but yeah, other than that, I think, we really did pick the main ones, and a few didn't. Nobody chose those, but I think Todd and Wes, you're correct. We don't want to bite off too much. So.
Patty, Darren, just quickly get your thoughts on it.
Oh, I'm with those guys. I think, yeah, figuring out something that we can, take action on pretty quickly, and yeah, focusing on the bigger issues. I think, there's a lot of interest and possibility even with the plastics right now. That's why I picked that group. I've gotten a lot of calls several calls from companies that want plastic, and it's like, how do we get it? How do we get that to the marketplace and to somewhere we can use it? So that's really what I'm looking for to help out with.
Okay. Sorry, Darren, were you gonna?
Yeah, I apologize. I missed the first few minutes of your meeting, so I'm coming in a little late. But and if I'm brief, please give me the thumbs down if I'm off base here. What I'm looking for, in all of these groups is that we just have some tangible goals, some objectives, and things to move, so-called move the needle forward. I don't want these working groups just to kind of sit back and kind of have meetings, right? We need to get some stuff worked out and done. And so whatever we need to do that, I said I offered up before, we were more than happy to sit down to work with you guys on your menu of options and really get you some solid goals and objectives, whether those are high level, a little more into the weeds, that doesn't matter. But that's kind of what I'm looking for. And so whatever help you guys need to move that, we need to, at the end of this, we need a tangible result, right? We need something to say, yes, we're able to do this and we can show something for that. So that's kind of what I'm looking for.
Thanks. One of the questions I kind of wanted to raise is the data that we have as far as like the study from Washoe, I wonder if there is something similar for the Southern Nevada side. I guess it's from the Republic, and also if there's a bit more data. I'm looking for more Nevada-specific data, right? So same with the plastic side, they're more breakdown rather than just having a large category as plastic. So anybody know more data or who we can reach out to?
I know for our side we have the recycling data that we can break down into county level. Patty, do you know of anything for Southern Nevada?
Well, we have diversion data, but we don't really have, what is being produced. I think that is, we'd have to do a waste characterization, and that's expensive. And not that it can't be done, but maybe it's something we should look at. Doing a waste characterization down in Las Vegas, trying to find the budget for that. That's probably actually a good goal, really, just to get more data on that.
Mm-hmm. I think.
Well, we do have sorry, go ahead, Wes. You had your hand up.
Yeah.
Or somebody did.
Darren had his hand up first, so I'll let him go, then I can jump in.
Okay.
Thanks, Wes. Hey, I just wanted to say that I think Patty brings up a good idea just in terms of what some of the tangible results would be, right? If you could do waste characterization study, some sort of waste audit, that's really a great starting point, a great step that Nevada has not been able to really accomplish in any sort of great detail. And Patty, correct me if I'm wrong, but yes, and she's right? We're gonna have to try to find some money for that, but that's what these discussions need to do and move forward and kind of get really those starting points, because it's never been done here in Nevada. Not at the great degree, at least.
And to piggyback off of what Darren said, so remember the problems and opportunities. One of the other things too to think about is knowledge gap. So one of our objectives for the menu of options could be fill the knowledge gap, and one of that solutions could be the waste characterization study. So that is one thing to consider. If there's a knowledge gap, that can go on the menu of options as well.
So real quick, this is Wes. I just wanted to ask, so Lakshmi, are you referring to the amount of data that you have for Washoe County from the waste characterization study that we did a few years ago?
Yeah, that's the only data I've seen for Northern Nevada. Yeah.
That's the only data that exists for Northern Nevada.
Okay.
So it's not a by all means an all-inclusive, but it was a good one. And so I just wanted to make sure that was correct. And Brianna, or one of the things that I think would be important to add on to the objectives would be not just the knowledge gap component, but what would be necessary to close the loop on the back end. So like, for example, if we're using a waste characterization study up front, then you implement whatever change or ideas that you have. You would need to then follow up with another waste characterization study, maybe, on some type of a odd year type plan, likely just due to the cost and the amount of time that it takes. You might want to look at like a 3-year deal because it takes almost a year to get your results from a waste characterization study adequately. And after you go back and forth with them on what is this in the trash kind of a thing, you'd be surprised at the pictures and things we had to review. So then you'd be able to close the loop in what type of a product or source, or how was that actually being counted, and what does it look like?
I wonder too if there's just for data gathering, if there's information out there, and maybe Bree and Darren, you might know this, or Patty, some of the larger casinos, I know they all, especially MGM and Venetian, they all have great sustainability plans. I would imagine they have done a ton of studies on the kind of generation they have and what their waste streams look like. I don't know that we can access that information, in a granular level, but maybe on an aggregate level where we understand what's coming out of these types of facilities. And I know someone is in the other group that's from Republic Services. Is that correct? I mean, maybe they have some information.
I would also talk with the WIN group. The WIN group is part of you guys. They have a huge amount of data.
The who?
The WIN group, Steve WIN group, the WIN group for Las Vegas.
Group.
Yeah. And then there's the hospitality associations that also may know that. Hospitality and casino.
Mm-hmm.
I would, that's what I'm finding in my endeavors here is that's, those groups I tend to reach out to, and oftentimes they don't have the data, they don't know it, but they want to know it. So, or they have people that kind of know it. So that's what I would suggest. I know that the WIN, like I said, I came up with the WIN group because they're part of you guys. They're a big stakeholder here for the Nevada EPA. So they would probably be approachable. I mean, I would think. I think there's a gentleman too that does the whole sustainability program for them as well. He's in the ad. He's in the YouTube ad for the stakeholders group, shareholders group for Nevada. That's what I would start with. That just seems kind of the lowest, he's part of the group. They probably would love to be a part of this. Maybe they would even do a pilot, so that they would actually maybe contribute to the bill, footing the bill on this.
Yeah.
Just ideas, I think that if we involve the community and some of these big corporations here, like the WIN group, I think that that's kind of a way to keep the costs down. And it's also exploratory. It's a great way to prove things,
Mm-hmm.
But anyway.
It's a good thing. So the question is like, okay, maybe we could take that. I wonder though, if we divide it up into subgroups and each one of us reach out to them, that may not work that well. So we may need to reach out as maybe Bree and Darren tell us we can reach out as end up representatives or at least from the.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would do. They're on the video.
Yeah.
So use that. They can use it in their marketing too. They'll love that.
I wonder too, like make sure that we're not duplicating efforts with other groups, because the recycling group, the organics group, I mean, these ideas may already be there and a lot of you may be in those groups. So Yeah, Bree, I know that you're kind of the organizer of this, so we should probably be mindful of that
We
as
don't want to
well.
burden you further, but yeah.
You're safe on the recycling group side so far because we haven't met yet. We're trying to get that coordinated. But I can tell you that in Jessica and I's conversation about the recycling group, we are going to try and focus more on some of the other points. So some of these conversations are going to be circular and come into play, but it'll be more about whether or not they're either going to be balanced on a regulatory level or even realistically manageable on a like actual service provider level.
Well, right, but I think that if the market is there, they're wanting that, you know, then I think it can be created, you know. There's, like somebody was saying, there's a demand for plastic, you know, so why isn't there, like the whole textile thing, the synthetics, you know, why isn't, you know, in the textile industry, there was a cap and trade kind of thing that they were doing, you know, decades ago. And GAP had the gold standard for this, you know, where certain countries would reach the cap on production, then you would go to, you know, the Philippines or India, you know, it's that kind of stuff. So I think you're right. It's from basically a handling, it's a feedstock issue at this point. So I think that it's talking with like groups like the WIN group and, you know, stakeholders that are part of the community that are also a large portion of the waste. You know, that I think that this is something that is a really great way to kind of help get them not greenwashed, but more of a sustainable slant to their business model. And, you know, there's no self-dealing. We don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. This is about, you know, stakeholders interested in the community of Nevada. And so I always try to think of, you know, let's bring people, let's bring organizations into this. Let's get them to help share the responsibility. Ask at least.
Yeah. And I think, Nima, you're right on thought there. I think one of the things I remember, you know, NDEP has told us from the beginning is do, you know, bring more people into these work groups,
Yeah.
you know, through them. So we should, if there are interest, it's still not too late to include them. So,
well, yeah. And if they're part of the video, I mean, heck yeah, it's, you know, trust me, they're using that in their marketing, or they will be if they're smart. And so this is just one more way that they're, you know, the only thing they have to gain is be able to say, hey, look, we're part of the movement of sustainability in Nevada. Come and stay at our casinos. This is what we're doing. You know, be part of the change. I mean, I'm a real firm believer in that it has to be holistic. And, you know, the stakeholders like the casinos and the hotels and even the sports teams. This is really about bringing them to the table too in ways that we can, that they're comfortable. And the low-hanging fruit, like the single-use plastics. The food industry, I understand that's a little tricky because from a sanitary, but the retail and the tchotchke stuff, the stuff that the WIN groups brings into all their casinos, things like that is very, very low-hanging fruit in terms of dealing with a really big waste issue. And so I think let's talk to these groups and let's get them to help support this. And, you know, so we're not forking out a bunch of money and we have to get grants and all that kind of stuff. Let's try. Let's just try.
So just quick to piggyback off that. So I can do some reaching out and see if there's any casinos out there or the WIN group that have any data on their waste streams. But I think for the time being, since we're running out of time, figuring out, okay, so everybody, you know, picked their subtopic to, you know, dive into the research for. Actually, Liz, should we send out some specific questions for them to look at? Maybe Aster, since you're pretty good with research and everything, if there's specific questions we should be focusing on, we'll try to keep it, you know, what are the social problems, environmental, economic, specific to Nevada. And then so people can go off in their groups. We'll let people know who's in what group so they can work together. I can get that document, that shared document out that people can edit and add to, so everybody can see what everybody's researching, and if you guys can put your information in that document. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
I'm game. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think, Brianna, I was looking for it. It was either you or Kayla who sent out a list of questions, and I think it was Lakshmi and I had talked about it as well, just like criteria questions, so that when people are doing research, they're not, I mean, it's so easy to get, too expansive, and we want to really hone in on focus. So maybe if we can find those questions and just have a kind of framework that people can do their research within, so it's not overwhelming.
Yep. And we'll get on it maybe right away, so we don't waste any time in the next maybe day or two. Liz, if you're available, that is. I don't want to put you, because we really have not that much time to kind of even define this right for subgroups. And there was one other thing I wanted to say. The documents, are they editable by everybody when you put it up? Okay, so
yes.
Okay. And the only thing is, my personal laptop doesn't have Word, so I was wondering if we could use something more.
It's going to be a Google. It's going to be a Google Doc. So you just click on the link and it opens up in the browser. So you don't have to have anything installed.
Okay, perfect. That's good. And then maybe we'll send out the survey one more time to others who want to see which group they want to be part of. So that'd be good. Okay, so just to do the list of the criteria and the sort of the questions to ask thing, and then you'll do the groupings and all that stuff. Yeah, and the survey. So anything else? I'd like to make sure if we have forgotten anything or you want to be thinking about something, please tell us. If you need better communication, anything, please tell us.
Before we break, I just want to point out, so 2 weeks from now, if we're going to stick to the normal cadence, the policy change already has a meeting in the books at 3 p.m. And I may have difficulty supporting it depending on my travel plans. Do we want to perhaps maybe do it later in the week to give people more time to research prior to that meeting? I don't know how you guys feel about a Thursday or Friday meeting. Or
I'm fine with it. Whatever the group needs, I'm game.
Me
Easy.
too.
Yeah, whatever you guys need.
What do you think, Liz?
I think I'm fine. Is that when? That would be like Thursday the 4th?
Yeah,
right?
yeah, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. That way too, if people, because I think the policy change group may pull people away, and I want to make sure there's the
Thank you, Bree. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you for that, because it's important.
Yeah. I think I'm available Wednesday or Thursday. Friday will be hard for me.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So Wednesday or Thursday is good, but yeah, that's just mine. So whatever everybody else is.
I can make it to the same time or later. 1 o'clock or later?
1 o'clock, probably, right?
I can do it.
Everybody's lunch hour, so they have to eat lunch while they're doing this.
There is that.
Brown bag lunch.
If all the people, at least who are on this call right now, if you'll let us know if this works for you, and then hopefully the rest, them who are not able to make it this time.
I'm not available on that Wednesday or that Thursday or Friday, the 4th or the 5th, but that's okay. I mean, you guys, there's no way we're going to make everybody happy. So it's
Yeah.
okay. It's okay to meet. I just won't be able to make it those days, likely. I have
Okay.
training rescheduled.
Let's just, we will actually start, the email groups. I'm sure there are going to be subgroups that you'll need to meet anyway. So if you can make, somebody from that group is there, that will be good. Okay. Anything else? I think that's pretty much all I had. Liz?
I'm good. We are 1:59. Perfect.
All right. Right on the dot. All right.
Thank you, ladies, for
Thank
everything.
you, everyone. Yeah.
And gentlemen, thank you.
Free.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Ciao.
Thank
Bye.
you.